Hi, it's Kim Frederick talking some more about sales for non-salespeople. That's all those people that are talking to clients but aren't actually salespeople and yet have a huge impact on bottom line revenue growth and especially organic growth. So today I want to talk about how service and selling are connected. And I have talked about this before, but this is specifically related to a follow-up or feedback process at the end of a client engagement. And the reason this came up as being something so important was last week when I was teaching a workshop at the 4A's with 15 advertising professionals from agencies of different sizes. I asked everyone to raise their hand and let me know if their organization had a formal follow-up or feedback process at the end of an engagement. And I was absolutely stunned to learn that only 2 of the people in attendance had anything like that in place at their agency. Why is this so important? Well, first of all, there are 2 reasons, 2 big reasons. But first of all, people just want to be heard. They want to be able to share what their thoughts and their opinions about how the engagement went. They want to be able to share that with you. You are a supplier to them and they're paying you money and they expect things to happen a certain way. But you know, we're all human and sometimes they happen that way and sometimes they don't. But in any case, at the end of a client engagement, it is such a good idea to be able to say to the client, hey, can we just have a connection on how that went? You have the opportunity then, and actually this was what one of the people at the workshop said they do. You have the opportunity to then bring to the client what you thought could have been done better. How about that for proactive customer service, right? So they are able to go to their client and say, you know, the way this was handled in this particular case, we would have done this differently, and we think that that would have helped the outcome this way, and we learned this by the way we did it this time. If we were to do this again in future, we would do this instead. What client doesn't want to hear that? You're admitting that maybe things didn't go 100% according to plan. Well, that happens, but you admitted it and you came up with a really great solution that's going to work to make it even better for that client. So score 1 point for you just by doing that. The other thing you're going to do in a formal feedback review is ask the client what they would have liked to have seen differently. You get to hear both what you did really well and who doesn't want to hear that. But you also get to hear what could you have done better. And you may discover that maybe your client really has a personality conflict with David, who manages the account. And actually, really, they would prefer to work with Sally. Isn't that something that's useful and valuable to know? You now know that because A, you took the time to listen, B, they shared something really kind of important with you. Now, they are more likely to, if you're able to take that feedback on board, they are so much more likely to say to you next time they need something similar, you know, let's go back to your agency because we know they listen to us and we're not going to need to work with David this time. Right? So, 2 reasons. Client retention, they've been heard, you've discussed what went right, what went wrong. They are so much more likely to use you again for a similar service. But the bigger reason this is so important to have this conversation at the end of a client engagement is because this is the best possible opportunity you have to find out what else is coming up. So while you're reviewing, finding out what worked, what didn't, let's see how we can make this a better relationship, deepening that relationship so that more work can come. You then are perfectly placed to ask about what else is coming. What's their next objective? What's the next campaign that they're going to be working on? Or what is it that they're really hoping to achieve in the next quarter or the next year? Whatever it is, it's never ever a bad idea to have this conversation with your client. And when it's put in the context of a feedback review, those questions don't seem salesy in any way, shape, or form. You're providing service. Remember, that's what you're doing. And you're now working with that client and saying, how else can we support you? How else can we serve you? Remember, sales is really about service. It's providing a solution to a problem that your client has. In this case, it's not necessarily a problem, but it's something that they're looking to achieve that they need support to do. And maybe you, because you're already helping them, you've taken the time to listen to their feedback and their concerns, and you've asked them, what else is coming up? Who's not going to respond positively to that? They already have a relationship with you. You don't need to sell them. All you need to do is ask them what's coming up next and say, you know, we can probably help you with that. If that's the case, of course. And if it's not, you might be able to do something like, you know, that's not really in our wheelhouse, but I know somebody who would be able to help you with that. You've not gained that particular sale, but you've kept the client. So what's the big outcome of all of this? More potential opportunities, of course, but even more profit, because the cost to acquire that business is minuscule. It's the cost of a conversation, maybe a lunch or maybe a drink. That's all. You've already developed that relationship and built the trust with the client, and all you need to do now is ask for more opportunities. Chances are they're going to select you because it's easy. They already know you, right? They know you, they like the work they do and you do, and they're more than thrilled that you are actually listening to them. So, talking about more profit from new opportunities, talk a little bit more about the retention piece there. It costs much more to find a new client than it does to retain this client, doesn't it? So when you wrap all this up together, we're talking about selling and service and keeping clients, and it's a whole wonderful, virtuous cycle where you're keeping your clients happy, they're giving you more work, then they're referring you on to other people and giving you more work again, and you're just keeping on in that wonderful cycle, all by having a formal feedback process. I admit it can be a little more complicated than that, and if you don't already have a formal feedback process in place, and even maybe if there's no support for putting something like that in place, you as the account manager, account director, whatever you are, whatever your job title is, you as the person who liaises with that client, you can still just pick up the phone and have that conversation. And look what you just did. You've accomplished a tremendous amount, tightening that relationship, deepening that relationship, maybe uncovering new opportunities, maybe finding more work for you or perhaps another supplier, and retaining that client. As far as I'm concerned, that's a win-win-win. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. And if you're interested in learning more about how to build your sales confidence, message me below.